In the past 5 years when all this evidence would emerge, and I'd be like, well, that's not true. It doesn't seem true to me. Like, I don't know what the truth is, but I can tell when someone's lying. It's my one gift. And I would see these people lying, and I'd be like, why are they lying? Like, I know they're lying, but why? And so I really came to this, like, at the age of 50. Like, that's very late. Like, I never for a second thought UFOs.
What changed your attitude at 50?
The evidence.
Which is what?
Well, oh my gosh. The Pentagon was required by the last defense authorization bill to, like, produce some of their files on UFOs.
Brace yourself. Today, we're talking about aliens and UFOs.
And it turns out they have known about this since the end of the Second World War, which ended in 1945. Been a huge increase during the war as well. Huge increase in UFO sightings, in UFO crashes. And it turns out the federal government has been tracking this for 80 years and lying about it. So why? Well, that's a great question, and I can't answer it. Theory, I don't know.
There's been a drastic increase of UFO sightings since the dropping of nuclear bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Now that we're approaching World War III, these creatures are starting to become active because they know that us humans are getting ready to destroy the planet. Let's hear more from Tucker Carlson.
For example, UFOs appear to be attracted, for whatever reason, to nuclear energy. So at nuclear missile bases in the upper Midwest, for example, nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, nuclear-powered submarines are all getting buzzed by these objects, including underwater. And in a number of cases, these things have landed on military bases, including famously in Germany, in West Germany in the 70s, and servicemen have approached them. Like, what is this thing? There's this like giant glowing thing on the base. And they approach and they get traumatic brain injury. Like, they are rendered. Like, they get brain damage or they're killed. And he studied their brains. And they have, this is all totally real. This is the Department of Defense, dude.
The Department of Defense, as well as the Office for National Intelligence, has been releasing a lot of information on this topic recently. We'll get more into that in a bit.
And it turns out that actually, yes, these things have been shot down and crashed, and the U.S. government has the wreckage, and it's being held by defense contractors, Raytheon, Lockheed, which are big independent companies, but that work for the U.S. government. They're really part of the Department of Defense, but they're separate. So their sunshine laws don't apply to them. You can't actually get information from them. It's a very tricky way to hide information. And they have the wreckage from these crafts. And I'm like, really? Are we positive these aren't like advanced Russian or Chinese? No, of course not.
We know less about our own planet than we do the dark side of the moon. Speaking of the moon, did you know that China just recently discovered water on the moon? I don't mean just a few ice droplets here and there. I mean billions of tons of water. 300 billion tons of water to be specific. Any environment on Earth that is capable of holding water is capable of holding life. And we don't know that to be true of other planets or other moons, but you should be careful what you wish for. As the human species continues to expand its knowledge, expand its intellect, and make new advances in technology, we must remember the old adage, ignorance is bliss. Curiosity killed the cat, and once you open Pandora's box, it's very hard to close it again.
But I'll tell you this, the most interesting from my perspective, I don't know if it's a consensus, but a lot of people, serious people, not crazy people, who study this stuff, U.S. government employees, seem to believe that these objects are coming from under the oceans. So the conventional view is they're coming in from outer space. There's not actually a lot of, something enters the atmosphere, we can see it on satellite, and there's not any evidence of that actually. Maybe it's happening, but we don't know that it is. There's a lot of evidence these things are coming out of the ocean, including videotape, of these objects coming out of the water at high speed, or even more amazing, descending at Mach 3 into the
If you look at the trending section of any social media, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, etc., you'll notice that the main focus of most people's attention seems to be on relationships. The videos that get the most views are those that have to do with dating, Black relationship dynamics, the problem with men complaining about female nature. These are the videos that get the most views. But on this channel, we tend to focus on other topics more so. The reason is, from my perspective, there's things that are going on in the world right now that are far more important than complaining about the opposite gender. I think that we are living in times that have been prophesied for thousands of years. We're living in what some call the last days. the United States in particular is preparing to go and fight in World War III. Aliens are being exposed and openly talked about by the U.S. government, by the Department of Defense. And today, I want to highlight that fact. On June 25th, 2021, the United States government released a preliminary assessment admitting to the fact that there are aerial phenomena that surpass U.S. technology and defy the known laws of physics. According to the Office of National Intelligence, a handful of UAP appeared to demonstrate advanced technology. Some UAP appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft. So the wind is blowing, but it's just sitting there in the wind. Move against the wind, or maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed with no discernible means of propulsion. Meaning there's no smoke, there's no sails. How are these things just floating in the wind, not moving, and not creating any exhaust? How is it possible? In trying to explain how these UAPs or unidentified aerial phenomenon exist, the U.S. government put forth a few hypotheses. One is airborne clutter. 2, natural atmospheric phenomenon. 3, industrial developmental programs. 4, foreign adversary systems. Now, this is a major concern considering the fact that we are on the verge of World War III, that the adversaries, foreign governments, might have some technology deployed by, for example, Russia or China or any other nation that surpasses our own understanding. But the last possibility, the government marks as other, and that's really the one that's most concerning. It is specified that we will not understand these UAPs until human technology advances, meaning there's possibly other beings on this planet that are operating with technology far more advanced than ours, and we just won't understand until our knowledge of physics expands. So I say all that to say this. Nothing that we see going on in the world is by accident, and it's all related. Whether it be the U.S. government admitting to UAPs, also known as UFOs, whether it be our advances in artificial intelligence and people like Elon Musk admitting that the elites want to create a digital god, whether it be the banking collapse, the economic collapse that's currently taking place in America, or the CBDCs being released all around the world like we see in Nigeria, and like FedNow has just been announced to the American citizens, CBDCs being central bank digital currencies. The fact that we're moving towards digital currencies. These things are not happening individually, happening in isolation. The progression toward World War III with Russia, China, the United States, and NATO, all nuclear powers, all fighting each other in covert and what is moving towards an overt war. These things are not happening in isolation. These things are happening in conjunction with each other, moving us towards an inevitable end, one that has been prophesied for thousands of years. But hey, that's just what I think. If you've made it this far in the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I want to give a special shout out to all my new subscribers. Y'all keep me motivated to continue making these new videos and new content. I appreciate you all. Peace.
And then, of course, we have a huge submarine fleet. What the fuck? Then we have a huge submarine fleet, American, but also Chinese and Russian, underwater with pretty sensitive measurement devices, sonar, etc. And they have recorded these objects doing hundreds of knots underwater. So, like, let's just stop there.
Wait, what's knots?
It's 1.1 miles per hour. It's a way that we measure objects in the water.
Oh.
It's 1.1 miles. It's a little more than mile per hour. And a mile is a measurement that we use in the United States.
Right.
It's distinct from a kilometer,
Still learning.
which I think is right.
Yeah.
Common in Canada. But anyway, these things are moving at impossibly high speeds. So let's just apply common sense for 1 second. If I take a 45 ACP, a 45 caliber handgun and fire it at you underwater in, say, a swimming pool, 50 feet away, you can catch the bullet because the resistance is so strong from the water that objects can't move that fast underwater. We know that, but they are, and they're moving without any visible means of propulsion. So no wake, no bubbles.
Where have we like tracked that?
All over
So
the
you made it all the way to the end of the video, but you haven't hit the like button yet. Come on now. You're cheating me, you're cheating yourself. Go ahead, hit the like button. And while you're at it, you might as well smash the subscribe button so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. I make a video every day, a different topic, a different subject. They're all interesting, so you can check them all out by hitting the subscribe button and setting your notifications to all so you get an alert when I drop a video. There you go.